There we go. So this is being recorded, and we want to welcome everybody. We do have our live people that are with us online live, and also for our YouTube people out there. And if you could just please, like and subscribe to us so that you get these as they come out. And tonight we're going to be going through analyzing a deal. So we're going to take it kind of from comparables to start to finish, and we do actually have just a little presentation to give you too, in addition to that. So I am going to go ahead and start sharing my screen here. There we go. Okay. So.
I see it. It's working.
There we go.
And
all right. So we are Fred. Yeah, we are the real estate investor group. And so Rick and I are your leaders. So we've had this going for a few years now. So I'm a real estate broker, property manager, investor, landlord. We also own HomeDream Realty and Property Management, and that's in Virginia. And we have HomeDream Property Solutions in Florida. So I'm a licensed broker in both Virginia and in Florida. Started investing in my 20s. I had a duplex that I turned into a triplex, and that's kind of where we're at now. We've done well with house hacking, and so we've kind of continued on that road. We really like the house hack, and we have short, mid, and long-term rentals in about 4 or 5 states. So Rick, what would you like to add to that?
Not a thing.
Okay. Well, Rick is my husband. He's also a real estate broker, and he is, we couldn't do this alone. We definitely need to do it together. So that's the thing. It's great to have a spouse that where you're on the same page and your goals align. All right, yeah. Disclaimer. The topics that we are discussing are for general real estate educational purposes only, and it is not considered investment advice. Real estate is risky, and each transaction is individualized. So do your own research. That's the thing. So we are real estate brokers, so we can give you real estate advice when we have that hat on. But seek an attorney, accountant, investment professional, and anybody else that needs, for your proper representation and protection. All right, we are also a member of National REIA. So for a low price of $70 a year, if you wanted to become a National REIA, it is the cheapest one out there because we're not doing it for a profit or anything. And you do have access to all of the National REIA benefits. If you wanted to do that, just get in touch with us and we will make that happen for you. Okay, so tonight we are going to have our analyzing potential deals with Rick and I. On the 28th of September, we're going to have our in-person networking at Wegmans in Fredericksburg, Virginia. We also have in October, Dario is actually going to tell us about his rental arbitrage. He has been knocking it out of the park with rental arbitrage. So he is going to share what he's been doing. And then we have our the October in-person networking is going to be on the 26th. And then we have leveraging direct private lendings. Right now, lending is so crazy. So knowing the different avenues and things is the best way to do it. So then after that, we're not going to be having networking because that would be on Thanksgiving. So that's not going to work. So then we have Thanksgiving, Christmas, and we will see you in January after that. So our last meeting will be in November. So if you do know of any speakers, we're looking for speakers for next year already. I know it's crazy to say. Okay. So I am going to shut this down for right now. So Rick, since you're monitoring the chat, we still have people coming in, so I think I'm gonna make you the host.
Uh-oh. I hope I recognize their names.
Don't do it? Well, it won't be long. Never mind, I'll come back then if you don't want to do it. Okay, so let me go back to that. All right, so this is our information. Rick, if you would copy and paste that into the chat for people to share, that would be great. If you could do that.
Oh,
and okay, so let me go to this. This is saying that we want to give proper credit where it's due. So Rick, you got to monitor on your slides too. So we actually started years and years ago, well, about 10 years ago, we read this book called Hold. So that is how to find, buy, and rent houses for wealth. And that's the spreadsheet that we have started with. We have adapted it over the years to a change for our needs and change for the lending requirements. Rick, do you want to add anything about that?
No, it really inspired us, honestly. We went to a conference. It's called Keller Williams Family Reunion, and honestly, Anna had dabbled in her 20s doing real estate investing, and I had invested in my own personal residence. So that's the only extent that I've had. Um, my parents, they owned a vacation home and a single family home. You know what I mean? Their primary home and a vacation. Never had a family that grew up in real estate investing. And we had signed up for this class, and it just inspired us. I mean, we got the book. We actually got the Audible version, I think, if I remember correctly. And we both listened to it, and the light bulb just went super bright on us. And they came with a very simple, basic spreadsheet that we use to this day. And before we even drive in the car, we are filling out this form, and we do it on Google Drive, and we're each putting in our own numbers, and then we have a discussion about it. So anyway, I just encourage you, if you've got a business partner or a spouse or somebody like that you want to sanity check things, this is how we do it. And we're constantly kind of challenging each other, and we're always stressing. I'm the more conservative one. Anna's the ready, jump, aim. I'm the more I want to make sure every single
do what everyone else does. So if you want to do what everyone else does, you will likely have what everyone else has, something different. So that's what Rick's talking about.
Yep.
He's talking about the fact that you've got to go and you've got to build. What this does is, Michael Zuber is someone we watch also online, and he talks about a buy box. And other people talk about buy boxes too. But you've got to figure out what your buy box is and what is going to work for you. And don't follow the herd. Okay. You can't always follow the herd, is what he's talking about here. So, Rick, are you able to talk about this?
I'm actually still trying to put the chat information online. So
gotcha. Well, he actually talked about some of this. So if you find a property, you do your numbers and you analyze it first. You do your research online. Zillow's estimates. And I'm also going to go into my own slide. This is Rick's slide, but he's busy, I guess. The first thing is not driving and looking at homes first. It's one of the last steps. Make sure that you get the first and second opinions on rental pricing. Study the pictures, talk to the agent, and talk to a property manager. And before putting in the offer, make sure that you do look at the property. That is key. Sometimes pictures, they can be great, but a video is actually even better if you can't look at the property physically, but looking at the property physically is the best thing. Okay, forego immediate pleasures to build lasting treasures. So this is talking about, if your goal is one thing, you might need to, downsize your budget. You might need to, make some sacrifice.
You froze. Anna, you froze.
All right. This is not a get rich quick scheme. This is what I want to know. The whole thing is, when you first start, you've got to figure out what your goals are. So what do you want to do? You can't figure out numbers unless you know what numbers you want to do. Are you want to flip? Okay. Do you need a certain sales price or margin? Are you going to do a BRRRR, where you're going to need to have margins so that you can refinance? Are you going to hold this long term, like a buy and hold? But in that situation, do you need a certain cash flow amount? Also, is it a short-term rental? What cash flow do you need for that? When we're analyzing short-term rentals, we're also analyzing the fact of if they would actually cash flow as a long-term rental.
As a fallback plan. You're freezing up again, Anna. As a fallback plan, and I don't know if it's mine that's freezing or if it's you, but I'm going to talk because you're freezing up. And that whole analyzing it, it's really just more of a conservative position, so that if we have to go back and rent it out, let's just say the zoning changed, or the city municipality says no more short-term rentals, which has happened in a lot of different cities lately. We just got to make sure that it does cash flow as a long-term rental first and foremost. And so that's why we do both analysis, and you'll see why we have so many different versions of our charts, our sheets.
Okay. Do you want to talk about some of your slides?
I can. Right now, you're not showing the slides; you're just showing you. But I don't know if I can't look at the presentation and then monitor the chats either. I think
Never mind.
You're frozen again.
You can't see that?
No.
Okay. Well, can you hear me when I talk?
Yep.
Okay, then go and pull it up on your own and we'll do it that way.
Okay.
I don't know why it's not showing it.
So you started talking about what are your goals. Did you want to go to the next slide?
No, it's the slide before it. It's your slides. Okay. This is not good.
So this is when Anna mentioned, this is not a get rich quick scheme. It really is not. Investing in real estate is actually for slow and steady. It's a slow and steady way to build wealth. We didn't get rich by just buying a home. In fact, it costs us a lot of money when you first buy a home. But I want you to realize don't count on that real estate earnings in the short term, because it's not a way to pay your eat bills. And I call your eat bills your daily living expenses. So, keep your day job and do real estate on the side. Real estate investing on the side, and live below your means. And how we did it was we house hacked, and we rented out a basement, or we rented out space in our home, or we did things that were kind of unconventional and uncomfortable, and lack of privacy. It's not something everybody wants, but that's what we did, and that's just helped us build a faster track to a down payment. And so we wanted to be able, our first several homes that we bought was using our primary loans, using 5% down, using conventional loans. And then Anna used her VA loan as another way. And so that's how we got started until we could build momentum. And then once the cash flow started coming in, then we could save for that next down payment. But we did not use the earnings that we achieved at the beginning. We don't earn it. We don't use it to buy stuff. We only use it to buy homes. And that's how we've kind of snowballed this faster. And so when you actually buy as an owner occupant, already be thinking how you're going to exit from this home. So before you even make an offer, you should be thinking, can I exit out of this home in a year? And if I can, what is your exit plan going to look like? It's not to sell the home. That's not what I mean by exit plan. What I mean by it is, how can you hold on to it and rent it out? And that's how we think about every home we purchase, is when we buy it, what is our hold plan and our exit from us living in it. That's how we plan any buy that we make. And that's it for that slide.
So I think that I've figured out what's going on. Okay, so what we're going to look at now, can you guys see that?
Yes.
All right, great. So these are the steps actually for analyzing the deals. So I'm going to go over this and then we're going to actually go through it. Okay. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to find your comparable properties for your goal category. Like I said, is it a long term? Is it a short term? Is it a BRRRR? And then you're going to need to figure out both the sales and the rental part of that. Is it short term? Is it long term rental? But you got to figure out, okay, what is my cash flow going to be? Is that going to be good? And does it back into what I want to buy the house for? All right. So then we're going to work on plugging those figures into that hold sheet, and do those numbers work for you then? That is how it always comes down. The more you do this, the more you practice, you're going to figure out what numbers work and what don't. And so the other thing is you'll see on our hold sheet, and the one I'm going to share with you, I've left our tabs, but you can always create new tabs. You can do different financing. We've got 50, 40, 10. We've got seller financing. There's also DSCR loans. You could do different rates of down payments, different rates of interest rates. It could be conventional, it could be primary. There's also, like I said, the different loan lengths and the different interest rates, different classes, the long-term, mid, and short-term classes. Rick, do you want to say anything more to this?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So you make sacrifices in the present to enjoy abundance in the future. That's the whole thing. And Rick's talking about the sacrifices kind of that we made with roommates and things like that. So the thing is, where to find the comparables. And this also depends on what type you're looking for. For instance, we are going to actually give you a behind the scenes look at the MLS, because we're going to go ahead, we're real estate brokers. So I'm going to show you what it's like to do comps actually on the MLS is what I'm going to do. And, but for you as a regular person looking for this, you can go to Zillow, and I'm actually going to show you what Zillow says about the property that, that we're choosing. It's actually one of our rental properties that I'm choosing to analyze. And then we're actually going to, you could go to PropStream. You know, so with short-term rentals, you could end up going to Airbnb, VRBO. You can use a tool called AirDNA, and there may be others. But with AirDNA, I also go back and I go to Airbnb and VRBO. We also have a pricing tool that we use for our short-term rentals, and it has an evaluation side of it. So it'll kind of give you a overview of the area and things. And so it's good to evaluate multiple places if you're putting some big money down and needing a future investment for a while. So like I said, we are going to go through the MLS, and then we're going to plug them into the hold sheet and go from there. So Rick, did you want to add anything to this?
Make sacrifice. Which one? The make sacrifices or to the find the Zillow, how you do the
where to find comparables.
Yeah. So the only thing I would add is when you're looking at, you know, long-term, you're looking at it from both rentals, but also sales. You know, you're looking at it for what the property's value is versus what the property will rent for. And so those same websites, we're going to have that kind of information.
Gotcha. All right, so what I want to do first is I want to show you the property that we are going to look at. Okay, can you guys see my screen still?
Yes.
Should see Buttercup. Okay, so this is a rental of ours. This actually, as you can see, this rented in 2018 for $19.95, right? So it's been rented for quite a while. Okay, we bought this home. Actually, it was kind of a fall in our lap type home, and we got it for a really good deal. But we had to put a lot of money into it. We had to completely remodel it. So that was it. But now we have a group home in there, and they are paying more than that $19.95, but they're still paying under market value, which is I'm going to show you kind of where it's at. So this is what's called a split foyer. Okay. So there's two different things when we're looking in the MLS. We've got a split foyer and we've got a split level in the Virginia area. So see where this door is located? It's actually located between the windows. Okay, so it's between the windows. If you had a split level, the door would actually be equal to that living room style door. Okay, so then it'd have two levels over here and another one on the other side is the most usual part of that. So it actually would have three levels instead of two. So this is considered a split foyer. Okay, it's a 4-bed, 3-bath, and it is in a neighborhood called Red Rose Village. So I am going to copy that so that I can take that over to the MLS and get that taken care of. So the square footage above and above grade is 1466. So we can end up putting that into our hold sheet over here. So if we go, can you still see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to put 1466. Now that's the square footage above grade. Okay. So that's not going to cover all of the finished square foot. So I don't rely on square foot at all. Rick actually looks at square footage sometimes. So he's going to talk more about that and if he needs to add more square footage to that. All right. So that is not what I'm doing. So I'm going to come back here. And so if we look on Zillow, so you always want to kind of look at Zillow too, and you can use Zillow, what they're using. I mean, it may be off, it may not be off. This is what it's saying these days. Now, see how the house used to look like? This is how the house used to look like. It had red garage doors, red this, and this is how it looks now. Okay, so we put new garage doors, we painted, we put a new roof, we did a lot. Actually, it needed a lot of help. But so Zillow is saying that this 4-bed, 3-bath, and it's saying it's 2322 square feet. So we can go ahead to get accurate numbers. I think Rick's going to need to have that be 2322. And so it's going by the finished square footage there. Okay. So let's go back here. So Zillow's saying that the estimate on Zillow is like 440. Okay. And that the rental estimate is 2,700 a month is what Zillow's saying. So you could use those numbers as a conservative thing and such. And if you wanted, you could like plug this in. These are the different tabs I was telling you about. And you can create new tabs, you can delete, you can duplicate, you can rename them, you can do all different kinds of things. So we've got the 20% down conventional financing with 7% is what I'm going to use, because that's kind of what's going on right now. Then you've got a lower interest rate if you wanted to do that. You can check out seller financing here if you wanted to do that. 50, 40, 10. That is meaning that is actually a loan product that Michael Zuber also was talking about. And that is where the lender is going to put 50% down. The seller is going to do 40%, and you're going to come to the table with 10%. And in that situation, it's a blended interest rate. So you'll have a high interest rate from the lender, okay? And then hopefully you would get a very low or no interest rate from the seller to balance those out to be a better interest rate in the market now, okay? Then you can change it over here to long-term rents, you know, all different things you could do with these tabs. But we're going to focus on that 20% down conventional financing at 7%, okay? So before we get into this, anybody have any questions right now? Any questions? Burning questions, burning desire?
Yeah, I've just put one in the chat. So you put the lender, the bank, assuming the bank is the lender, puts 50, the seller puts 40, and you put 10. How easy is it to get a seller to finance, do seller financing at 40% of it?
So it's easier than full seller financing. How about that? So if the lender is paying 50%, it is easier to do that than full seller financing. But it's going to be hard to find those people. So seller financing deals and things like that, you've got to develop a trust. You've got to develop certain things when looking for those. But you can find them. That's the thing. You just have to always keep looking, you know, to see what you can find. And we've said in the past, what we've done when we're looking for a seller financing deal is we'll put we'll put at least 3 different offers. You know, we'll do seller finance, we'll do 50, 40, 10, and then we'll do a conventional loan offer, right? And so those different ones in those situations, our best one in a sense was the seller financing, and then this 50, 40, 10, and then the conventional would have been in a sense the worst for us, so to speak, because the interest rates would have increased. So, but you just have to be able to be in it and be just constantly looking. And really, I think seller finance deals a lot of time come from people you know because they trust you, you know, those type of things. We've done the seller financing deals that we've done have been from my past clients. That's what we've done. So we've had 3 of them so far, I think. But it doesn't mean we haven't tried to do other times. You know, so it also depends on how the market's working too. You know, if they're able to get and sell their house the way they want it without doing seller financing, they're going to take the easy way. But some people, if it's an investor, they might want seller financing because then they can continue to earn money and not have a rental or something like that, maybe. So any other questions?
So,
all right.
Anna, Julie asked, how do we get the whole documents? And
I'm going to send it to you, Ben.
Yeah. Well, let me make some suggestions only because, you know, we bought the book, and what I might do is refer them to that website where they offer it for free. So in case, you know, there's some copyright things about it that, you know, I don't want to get in trouble for. But
the only thing is we've actually changed that spreadsheet from the very beginning. So I would highly doubt there would be any copyright things anyway, because it's so convoluted from when we first started. So Rick, so they're asking if you could put that website in the chat, Rick.
The 50-40-10.
We've changed that, and we've added our own formulas and things, and so it's completely different from where it first started. So he'll put it in the website, but then we'll also share our spreadsheet. It has all of the different windows and all the different changes and the formulas for the 50-40-10. So when we start looking at that hold sheet, and maybe we shouldn't call it hold sheet. Maybe we should just call it worksheet. There we go. There we go, worksheet. So when we start looking at this worksheet, then what the whole thing is you do not touch the yellow fields, okay? So when I send this to you, the best thing is you're going to make a copy of it, right? But do not touch these yellow fields, okay? So you can make a copy, and you'll be able to make your own copy, but you won't be able to edit what I send you, is how I'm going to end up sending it. The idea is if these yellow fields are going to formulate from the things that you add in here. Okay, that's how that is. All right. So what I'm going to do now is, if we don't have any other questions, I'm going to go ahead. And so this is our property. Like I said, it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath split foyer with 1,466 square feet above grade. So that's a very big split foyer, and it's in Red Rose Village. So what I like to do when I am going, so this is the MLS. You get your views here into the MLS. So this would be if we were looking for a lease, and then this would be if we were looking for a sale. So right now, what I like to do is I'd like to see what has been going on with Red Rose Village and their sales, okay? So we're going to see what's been going on here. So we're going to mark out the coming soon, active, active under contract, pending, and closed. And so this is closed in the last 6 months. So there's 4 in that neighborhood, right? Right now I haven't put any bedrooms. I haven't put any styles or anything like that. So as you can see, there's a ranking in price from 410 to 480, right? I haven't looked at them yet, so I have no idea what type of houses they are. But remember, if we go back to our Zillow, it said it should be at 440. Okay, so maybe we're close on that, you know.
We're in the ballpark,
so if we look at these, yeah, we're in the ballpark. So this is a colonial, right? This is a 3-bed, 2.5-bath colonial, and but it doesn't look like that there is a basement. So there's no basement in this. So our house is actually bigger than this house. And this one was at 410. So there you go. So that's why you would say, okay, this is only 1956. What did we say over here? We've got 2322. See that? Mm-hmm. And I know I'm going through this fast. That's why if you guys want to do this, you can watch this over and over again. Okay, so our next property. Our next property here, this is a 2-story colonial with a 2-car garage. It's a 4-bed, 3.5-bath, which is similar to ours. 1970 above grade in the square footage. And if we go down here, let's see. There is below grade square footage, there's 865. So this is actually a 3-story, right? It does say that it's a fully finished basement. And the price on that one was at $456, okay? And that one closed in May, though. All right, so we've got another one. Now, this is another colonial, 2-story colonial. This is a 4-bed, 2.5-bath, 2,300 square feet above grade, okay? And we've also got an unfinished basement there, okay? But I have a feeling, like, let's see if we look at these pictures. This guy might be a little bit more upgraded. He's got a screened-in porch, nicely painted, new flooring. Looks like we might have new kitchen. There's, well, not new cabinets, though, but there is granite countertops. So nice there. But the cabinets haven't been replaced. So you can kind of see how that compares. And that one actually closed also at the end of May for $480, okay? Then we've got another one here on Gardenia. This is actually a 2-story colonial, 4-bed, 2.5-bath, and it was at $431. So this one, let's see if it had a basement. crawl space. So this one doesn't have a basement. Okay, so that's what you get, 222.84. Now, none of these, even though they're in the neighborhood that we want, they're not really the house that we want. All right, we haven't seen a split foyer. So I like to look at the neighborhood to see what the prices are in the neighborhood. But then what I'll do is I will go back to my criteria. I'm going to take out Red Rose Village, but I'm going to put in the zip code where the house is located. Okay. And when I do that, I'm going to leave that coming soon, active under contract, pending, and closed. I'm going to leave that. And I'm going to get a house more like what we're looking for. So our house here, it's a 4-bed, 3-bath. So that means that we're going to want to try to get a 4 here. So let's say, and we're getting a big split foyer. So we want to go ahead and put in the 4-bed, 3+ baths. Okay. All right. And then we can go down here and we want to say it's detached because we don't want townhomes. And then we're going to go ahead and say, we're going to say it's 2 levels, right? And then that should take out those colonials with basements is what that should do. Because a colonial with basement is going to have 3 levels. Okay. So then you want to go here to style, and style here. And because people don't always know the definition of a split foyer and a split level, okay, I mark both of them because sometimes people will label split levels, split foyers, and vice versa. All right. Now we have 22 matches. So let's go ahead and add a garage. So let's go ahead and get a garage in there, at least 1 garage. So now we're down to 11. So this should give us more of an idea of where we need to go. Okay. So we're priced here. Looks like the lowest. Looks like the lowest is $375. Looks like the highest is about $450. Okay. Let's see what we got. But if you notice, like this one, our square footage above grade was this one, 1466. Okay. So most of these split foyers are probably going to be smaller than what we've got. All right, but we're still going to look. So we've got this one here. It's at 1288. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath. The other thing we can do is we can look at the year built. Okay, so the year built on this one, 1994 is the year built. So this one's in 1990. See, now this is an example of what I was talking about. This right here is a split foyer, and they've labeled it a split level. So that's what I was talking about. All right. Then we've got, this is another split foyer. This was 1993. This one's 385. So far, you know, this is July's, and we were looking at May's. Zillow might be a little higher than what we think, you know, and also as an investor, you want to think kind of conservatively. Okay. So you want to think, so now we've got a 438. This one's a 5-bed, 3-bath, 1488. Now we also want to look at some pictures. So let's look at some pictures of the 385 one. So this one, it's got the Christmas stuff up, but I think it said July it closed in. Oh, we'll look. We'll look in a minute.
Is this in Ashley Park? It looks like an Ashley Park home.
This is in Willow Oaks.
Willow Oaks, okay.
And it did close in July. I do not know why they have Christmas decorations up. But you know, hey, all right. Maybe it's not a Christmas decoration. Maybe it just looks like it. Okay. So this is just a common one. There's nothing that great about it, right? That's kind of what I wanted to see. And this one went for 385. So now this one went for 438. Let's see how that one compared on pictures. This one has a wreath also, but it doesn't look Christmassy. So it looks like this one is actually freshly painted, maybe. It might have new flooring. Definitely some, looks like they did some type of stone countertop there and some new appliances. So that's why. So this one's been more remodeled. So now that's up in the 400s. Okay. Got it. All right. So let's go through here. We've got 385 there. We've got 450 there. This one's actually in Maple Grove, Glen Eagles. Oh, just that's the only picture we have. That one closed in July with one picture. All right. We've got this one that closed in August for 414. It's got a one-car garage. This one on Watson, 402. Chadwick, 407. Joy Lane, this one's a little small, 996 square feet above grade. That one's going to be a little small. That's why the price is less. And then this one, we've got, this one's 1800 above grade. This is a big one. That's good size. All right, Stansbury. Actually, I think I sold that one. All right, so what I wanted to do here is why I'm kind of going through these quickly is because I also want to show you this little tool that we have. So if we click on all these guys, we can actually do a report that gives us actually some more numbers here. So what I want, this is just kind of what we went through. So what this will show the closed properties. The lowest price on the closed properties was 375. The highest was 450. The average was 405. Okay. And the average days on market was 11. All right. So then we want to go here. Like I said, lowest was 375, highest was 450, average was that 405 days on market. So we can see these different things here in the days on market here and how it went. Okay. So if we were going to do this as a safe number, we would probably go back to our worksheet and we would probably say that the fair market value is 405, not 440 like Zillow said. Okay. So let me go. So do you guys have any questions off of that right now before we start plugging numbers? And Rick, do you want to add anything to what I just did?
It may seem painful, like what we're doing here, but if you're not even sure, you're just trying to get an idea. And if you just want to go with the average of what Zillow puts in because you're not sure, you can go through the pictures later on and compare it. We are much more thorough because what we're trying to do is when we're meeting with a client or even ourselves, we're trying to see if instead of thinking of price being, low, medium, and high, we think of it as condition. And the condition of the home. Is the condition being average? Is it above average? Is it below average? And then that's where, if you think of it as below average, then might be the price that you might be thinking about in comparing it to price, comparing it to condition. So I know it might seem, just a little, redundant, but we just do this to be thorough, just to make sure that we're not overpaying, underpaying, whatever, what the fair market value is if all the repairs were done. A lot of the homes we look at are not pristine. They need work. And so this gives us an idea of what the ARV will be based on a good, better, best.
After repair value.
Yes.
ARV is after repair value. Yes. So the thing is, and why I do it, and I guess also, and I know I went through that quickly, but you guys can repeat it. You can look at it. You can ask me questions later. I did save that CMA. So I could even, put out what we're talking about in the notes. So the thing is what okay. But so we went through the numbers on the MLS way so that you can see how things might also be different, like in the real world compared to what Zillow says. Okay, but sometimes you can use the Zillow numbers like Rick said, but we want to be conservative on our asking prices of what we're doing, especially if you're wanting to burr or something like that, right? So, okay. So now we're going to start. Does anyone have any questions before I start plugging numbers in?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start plugging these numbers in. So right now I've got 405, right? Let's just say the list price is 440. Why is it? Okay, so then we want to say the discount is there. We're going to put Rick, the label or the thing isn't working.
Oh, did we broke the formula?
This is where you can't break the formula. Rick's gonna have to fix it, but
we broke the formula.
Maybe
Maybe choose another tab.
To break the formula tonight.
Yeah. Maybe choose one of the other tabs where the formula isn't broken.
Yeah, let me try that.
See if there are other tabs. If you just put it over the mouse, you can actually see the formula come up. I don't see it.
It's not there.
You got to highlight the yellow. Click on the yellow.
Oh, it's there.
It's there.
B6 times B7.
Yeah. You just got to put in a percent.
So what we're going to do, we're going to put 405 as our purchase price. Okay. It's not putting it down there, Rick.
No,
well, it's broken. We broke it. Well, I will make sure to give you a regular one. I'll make sure to give you a good one that works. See, this is why I say it's not the. All right.
I think you're putting it in the wrong cell.
No.
No?
I can't put it in the yellow one.
No. See where the discount is to the left? There should be a number there. Right there. I think there's a number there. 10%, right? And then hit enter.
Didn't do it. I'm going to get a different one.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to stop sharing real quick.
Our blank one.
I'm going to admit some people, and you tell them a minute here while I get a new hold sheet.
Okay. Use one of our blank ones.
I will.
Did everybody in the chat, did you guys see the link that I put for a blank spreadsheet at kellerinc.com/products/hold? There is a 30-year mortgage worksheet and a 15-year mortgage worksheet. Okay, awesome. Great. We've customized this so often that it's probably the ones we're seeing. First off, we did this 5 years ago when we analyzed the purchase of the property of Buttercup, and don't know why the formulas are broken, but we're constantly, when we're doing a copy and reuse for the next property, we'll have to always check to see if the formulas are still in place.
And we'll make sure that it's still in place on the one you have. Okay, I got it. Actually, I figured out what was going on.
Just the wrong cell?
Yeah, it's working now. I got it to work. Okay, so I'm starting. Let me share my screen again. Got it working. It is working. Sorry about that. Okay. So we've got a list price of 440. Our fair market value is 405. Right? And so that is going to take us down here. We don't have a discount here. So it's good. We're just going to go ahead and say that our fair market value is the 405. So
Anna,
this
my
is
screen is blank. Is anybody else seeing a blank screen? I'm not seeing anything on My
Yeah,
screen.
ours is blank.
Okay, let me try it again. Let me try to share it again. All right, can you guys see the gallery of everybody?
No.
Can you see the worksheet?
No.
Oh my goodness. Let me try this. Can you hear me?
I can see the gallery of people now. You're sharing your screen. I can see the gallery of people. There we are. Uh-oh.
Worksheet now? But
yeah, for a brief moment, then you flipped off of it.
let me try again.
Blank screen.
No, that's not going to work either. All right. Can you share your screen, Rick? And I will, or I can call in. Let me try one more time. We're going to pray it works. Can you see the whole or the worksheet?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm going to keep it here. All right. So we've got our list price of 440. We've got our fair market value of 405, right?
Yep.
And then that is actually going to start to enter these values. See that? It worked.
You were just in the wrong cell.
Right. It's all good. We've got it figured out. So then the thing is so we've got our purchase price at 405, our 20% down payment, which is normal for an investor loan. And that will figure out what that dollar amount is, which is $81,000. So then the total finance would be 324. Okay. And that will actually go down here with the 7% interest rate. So, and this is where on the other fields, it'll have seller finance, second business. That's where you get the 50, 40, 10 in. And so there's different things on here. So it's saying that your monthly payment and interest, now that doesn't include taxes and insurance, okay, is going to be $2155.58. All right, that's where that is. So now you got to figure out what your rental is, okay? So if we go back over here, remember that Zillow had our rental at $2,700. So if we go back to the MLS, we're going to see, and actually it's maybe for time, we'll go ahead. I'll just show you what it is in Red Rose Village, and then we'll use the 2,700.
Yeah, I think you should just use it.
So we're going to go Red Rose Village. And then, okay, so they're saying there's no rentals in the last 6 months and as our amount. And likely, guys, it may cash flow, but we're going to see. I don't know if it's going to cash flow or not because we bought it a lot lower. So you can add your property management fees here, your leasing costs. So your leasing cost is normally the annual, we figure 1 month's rent. So when you're doing that, so that's going to be the $2,700 for the 1 month's rent is your leasing cost. We figure at least $1,000 of maintenance reserve. Now your utilities, you shouldn't have any utilities if you have it rented out, okay? But maybe you've got some utilities, but you shouldn't have anything. It just depends on how you rent it. Maybe sometimes you might pay water or something, but most of the time you're not going to have any utilities on a full rental like this. Now your property taxes, we can actually get those over here. So the taxes over here were 18. Oh no, that's the security deposit. Oh, it's not going to show me the sales. Okay. Public records. Actually, Zillow would have it too. Let's look at Zillow. It has it on there. It should have it. It's good for us to look on Zillow anyway, because that's where you guys will probably look. Okay, so it's saying there's an HOA. So there is an HOA, and it's saying it's $8 a month here. It's very minimal. We pay by the year, so you can put it $8 a month. It's not showing the taxes. Come on, there it is. All right, property taxes, $21.33. So you can find those from Zillow, and we can enter those in here. We're going on the annual amount here. Okay, and then it'll break it down to the monthly amount when you do it. Now your insurance. Rick, do you know what the Buttercup insurance is approximately offhand? Is it about $1,000 a year, or is it more?
No, it's probably closer to 2,000.
Okay, well, let's just put 2,000 then. I didn't know it was that high. Rick takes care of the insurances. So like I said, that HOA was $8 a month. And so we're going to times that. We'll just say 120. I don't know. I know it's a little bit less than that, but we'll just say that. So now our total expenses are that 672 or 662.75. So for some reason, it's not putting our mortgage payment in there, Rick. What happened to our mortgage? Oh, I know why. Because I went to that one I was working on. I am so sorry. 2,700. I'm going to go through this. Property management fees, if you want it there. Leasing costs, 2,700. We manage our own property, so we don't have a property management fee, but property management would be 10%. There aren't any utilities. The property taxes, I think I said, what, 21.33. Insurance, annual is
I actually have a real number, 1,263.
What is it?
1,263
per year, right?
12. Yep.
Yeah, I thought it was just a little over 1,000, so that's good.
Yep.
And then the HOA is 120. All righty. Okay, so now it's showing what our net operating income is there. It's showing what our annual cost is there. This is per month. So this one wouldn't be horrible. Okay.
That's actually great, Anna. Not to our standards, but it's great.
Not to our, so the thing is for a regular investor, this would actually be great. Yes, even with today's prices and today's interest and everything, this net cash flow is $236.09. And so I should say this is great. So actually, and I'll give a plug-in for the Hold book again. They were happy if it actually made $50. Okay. So, and this is where Rick and I are just a little crazy. We just like a lot more cash flow. But like, for instance, if you put in a property management fee, it would not cash flow. That's the thing. So you would actually have to manage it yourself and hope that you wouldn't spend a lot of money doing that. Or you would have to figure out a way to change things up to then decrease the amount. Okay. So if we add the property management fee in there, whoops, that's the annual. Then it ends up being still a cash flow of $11.09 if you add the property management fee in there also.
Hey, this is Zach. Okay. Will you be sending this your sheet, the one that you're calculating?
Yes, we're going to send the sheet, and we're going to send the sheet with the tabs and everything on it so that you will be able to do those different opportunities.
No, like I was saying, the numbers that you are plugging in. I meant the numbers.
Oh, I can send that too. So yes. It would probably be a good idea to send that, and then to send, I'm thinking that I might send the comps, and then I might also send that CMA. So then you guys can see it and look at the numbers and see how it works. You see what I'm saying?
I missed something in between. That was the rent amount that you have put in this. Is that a regular tenant, or it's an Airbnb or Verbo kind of tenant?
This is a regular long-term tenant. So if you go, this is one of our properties, and we've had a tenant there for 5 years. And so they're paying a little less than that. I'm sorry, Zach, what?
$1,900 they were paying, right?
in
That was in
2018.
2018. They were paying $2,000 a month in 2018.
And now?
They're paying $2,500 now.
Okay.
So it's slightly under market rate, which was the $2,700, but they're at about $2,500 now. So we go by the concept that we think that you should raise rent every year at least 3%, and we actually have it on our leases. And the thing is because if you don't at least raise it something, then you're going to kind of stymie that tenant. You're going to hurt yourself because your bills are going up with taxes and insurance, but you're also going to stymie that tenant. And yes, they're going to stay, but they're also, it's kind of like the interest rates right now. You know, and things may not get better at your property and things like that. So it's just not a good idea to keep them low all the time. That's the thing. But that's kind of how the worksheet goes. Rick, do you want to add anything to that? Do you want me to go back to the worksheet? Do you want to add anything?
All I want to add is kind of like put a different spin on what you just said.
Okay.
And it's a different attitude because I have, we manage a lot of other people's properties besides our own. And I've had clients that don't want to raise the rent at all. They keep it the same from the beginning, when they started. And actually, their philosophy is this, that if I don't raise the rent, then the property is lived in, and I don't have that high expense of finding a new tenant. And I agree with that to some extent. Except what I don't agree with is, and these are usually self-managed. These people that have the attitude of I want to self-manage, they're not doing inspections on the property. They're not setting their eyes on that property every 6 months. And we've had some horror stories as a result of that. So it definitely keeps the tenant in that home for a long period of time if you're not raising the rents, but it can also hurt you if you're not getting your eyes on the property at least every 6 months to see if they brought in a dog, if there's another occupant in the house that is not supposed to be there, things like that. A pet, an illegal occupant, are they treating your property like you would want it to be treated, or is it just a sewer?
So Darlene asked if they often leave. Darlene asked if they often leave if we raise the rent. No, they don't. So because the thing is as you can see, the rent that we have it at is still under market value, even though we've raised it. So we've raised it since 2018 when they moved in, but it's at $2,500 per month, per month, $2,500 per month, and the market value is $2,700. So it's still under market, but not significantly under market, which is how we sometimes see people if they don't raise the rent at all. That's the thing. So how we present it to tenants when we're talking with them is we do comparables, and we look and see what the market rate is, and we're say, okay, you know what, we're going to raise your rent this much, but it's still actually under the market rate that's out there. And so if they were to move to get a comparable property, they would have to pay more, pluses and the hassle and everything else. And most people are pretty settled when they're in a home. So we don't really have too many people moving when we say we're going to raise the rent, because we don't do crazy raises. Rick, would you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, Kara asked a question, what's your tactic for getting into a house every 6 months? Is it just in the lease? And
it's in the lease.
It's in the lease. We tell them what to expect, and it's in the lease.
We do an inspection every 6 months.
And, once they have their first inspection, they get used to it. Honestly, it's the first one that, if they're not familiar with a property manager that takes an active participation in the property, we give a summary to the tenant on what our findings were and what they need to fix. And we also give the things that the landlord needs to look into as well. And it's just outlined as a matter of fact. The emotions are taken out of it. If there's a light bulb that we see that is documented by the inspector, we note it and tell them that they need to make sure that that's replaced. So it's, again, just it's an even keel, non-emotional relationship in which we say, here's our expectations. And it's important that we know what the condition of the home is if we're going to re-rent to these people.
Exactly. And actually, Jackie asked a question, and I was going to bring this up too. One of the things that we find on inspections that would be a tenant liability, or what they do and can also hurt you, is sometimes they'll disconnect the smoke detectors. Sometimes they won't change the air filters. And that's what Jacqueline Paz was actually saying. And so the thing is, we do not provide air filters. We do at our rooms for rent. Okay, so when we're renting out by the room, we do provide air filters there, but we do not provide air filters. We actually send out a monthly email reminding them to change the air filter, right? And we date and we initial that air filter at the move-in inspection, and every inspection after that, every 6-month inspection, we're going to date and initial that air filter, because we want to make sure that they are changing it. And if they're not changing it, then we're going to, in accordance with the VRLTA, which is the Landlord Tenant Act in Virginia, we're going to send them a notice that they need to change that air filter. Same way with the smoke detectors. If they disconnect them because they're beeping or something, you know, that could actually come back to bite you on your insurance if your smoke detectors are disconnected. You know, so you want to make sure. I'm sorry?
Just a quick question. Did you say you have properties in multiple states?
We do, actually, yes.
And how are you going in person in all of them? 6 months.
So the main thing is we have all of our mid and long-term rentals in Virginia. So that's where we're doing that. We have short-term rentals actually in Florida. So that's a different animal. But all of our mid and long-term rentals are in Virginia. I'm sorry?
I think he was saying, how are we doing it in person? And it's not us that's physically doing it.
Right. We have a team that does it. We have 3 inspectors in Virginia that inspect the houses, and then we actually have another inspector in Florida that inspects the house. Plus, we have handyman. You have to have a team set up. So our property management business is in Fredericksburg, Virginia, right? And so we have a team of people in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and that's where our mid and long-term rentals are too. So I manage properties. We manage property for other people, and we also manage our own. So we hired them. Those inspectors work for us. When you say, where do you find the inspectors in Virginia? We hired them and trained them. So, and we pay them per inspection type thing. So we actually have to, they're our employees. Well, not really employees, but they work for us. So, and then the thing is, though, in Florida, you just have a team of people. You know, we have a handyman, we have cleaners. And so they're kind of in short-term rentals, they're inspecting, you know, every few days or a week or something like that. I mean, that's getting inspected in a sense all the time, because they're in there all the time.
And they're telling us, whether it's the guest checking out saying, hey, your drain is running a little slow, or we'll hear it from the cleaning lady or the cleaning person that says, hey, you know, this broke or something like that, or we need more towels. So yeah, it just depends on the circumstances and the situation, but we're getting in there a lot more often and getting our eyes on it. Whereas long-term rentals, it's every 6 months.
So it looks like there are some other questions here in the chat. I was doing a 30-year mortgage. There was a question if it was a 15 or a 30, but in that spreadsheet, you can change it. But I was doing a 30-year. Darlene asked, what if they've messed the house up? Well, that's the thing. Then you have to do everything in accordance with the Virginia Landlord Tenant Act in Virginia, or in Florida, you have to do it with whatever theirs are. We don't manage long-term rentals in Florida. So, but in Virginia, you have to do it in accordance with that. So you're going to, depending on what they're doing, you know, it might be in violation of the lease, but they have to fix it. That's the whole thing. You give them notice and they have to fix it. It could be something that they might fix before they move out, but doing a 6-month inspection also lets you know whether you're going to renew the lease to them, you know, because if they're trashing your house, you don't want to renew the lease. And so then it's getting them out of the home rather than never putting eyes on it. And years down the road, you're calling Anna up because your tenants have totally trashed the house, and you're asking Anna to fix it for you. And I can't. I won't do that. Actually, I'll say you've got to move the tenants out and fix the house, and then we'll manage it from there, so it won't happen again. That's the thing. So if you are, that's where I hear the worst stories, is because owners, they put people in the home and then they never put eyes on the home again until the people move, and then they're wondering what, you know, what the problem is.
The only thing I wanted to add, going back to the chart on the worksheet that you presented from.
Do you want me to go back to it?
No, because I don't want to mess things up. Is that when we had when we were renting out, we're taking a single family home and it had, for instance, a basement that was unfinished or finished for that matter, and we were renting it out. You can, in those numbers, there's a spot there where you can put in the rents for the upstairs and you can create another line.
Yes.
And that's what we did, another line for the rents if there's other places. You know, for instance, that ghost kitchen you talked about, you know, you can put a plug in there for the ghost kitchen on how much money you're going to get it. You know, if it has an RV parking pad, you know, we did that on one of our properties. We had an RV in the back of our house with electricity, and we were talking about, well, how much can we get a night, and how many times would that rent out for, you know, a year? And so there's different spots where you can see where it says unit
Right
A, B, C, and D. You can plug in the different revenue streams that you might get from having this property. So thinking outside the box is a way to get your cash flow numbers up, and that's kind of how what we've approached it. We try to look at ways that we could extract additional revenue out of every property.
Okay, Rick froze a little bit. Gotcha. You froze a little bit. So I was about to go on and see if there are any other questions. So I think I've answered all the questions in the chat. If I didn't, you know, go ahead and somebody unmute and ask us if you want, or you could put them in the chat.
And you can see my numbers. You can see Anna's number. You can, I put our contact information if you guys have any other additional questions. But we hope this was helpful to you. If you have a spouse that's helping you navigate the choppy waters of real estate, and I remember when Anna and I, we'd come across the house and she would say, well, did you do a worksheet? Without us, because I really wanted to go see it. I'm one of those guys. Let's go see it. No, you don't go see it. You do the worksheet and see if it's going to meet your financial goals. So
you don't go see it without doing the numbers. That's the whole thing.
Yep. Exactly. Do
So,
the numbers first.
By the time somebody else might take it, there might be a bid on it. The houses are going in like 2 hours now.
Understand, but it doesn't take long to do a worksheet.
Realistically, we've done this whole thing in less than an hour, and that's been explaining it. So normally, if we're just doing it ourselves, it like takes 10 minutes or less.
It does. It takes 10 minutes.
Yeah. So I was just kind of explaining it as I go. So believe me, you got 10 minutes to do this before you waste your time.
Zach, you'll definitely get faster. Just keep practicing.
It does. It definitely does.
Well, I am waiting on. I know what's going on, but can you guys share both of your filled sheets? I just wanted to see how it kind of looks, like how you two are different in.
Oh no, we're using the same worksheet. We're sharing it on Google Drive. It's the same worksheet.
No, I was saying the filled up sheet, because I looked at your property, the one that you were doing. So I wanted to see how you plugged in the numbers. Both.
Yeah, I'll share it. We'll share a blank one and I'll share that one too. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So then you can see the example. Yes, right. I will do that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Suzanne, you had a question?
Yeah, it's back to the finding the inspectors. Where do you go to find them? You said
so we interviewed people. So the thing is, the people that we use to do our inspections are also the people that we use to install our signs, to install the lock boxes. They're the ones that are, I guess you could call, our runners. Like if somebody wants a key made, if somebody, you know, that type of thing. So we interviewed people and hired people.
Suzanne, where do you find these people? I mean, do you do a Google search? Home inspectors?
No, it's not a home inspector. No. It's a regular person. So one of the people is a past client of mine who's also an investor who retired and wanted something to do. So he has a ball doing the inspections because he's great at it, because he takes care of his own home, and he does things. He's very handy. He actually also does some handyman work for us. So that's one of our inspectors. Another inspector, he actually asked me if we would hire his daughter that was college age and getting, and I interviewed her and talked to her and decided to hire her too. And she did very well. Now she's,
I think,
gone to
I
college
think a good
full-time.
person, Suzanne, we're using our as examples because we have scale, so we can do these things. But for the mom and pop person that has a couple of properties, one property or whatever, my suggestion is to do it like hire a real estate agent who's somewhat seasoned, and tell me what you're seeing every step of the way. Take pictures, and that's what we told at the very beginning when we first started in 2014. We were getting like 30 pictures, and we said that's not enough. We need every single wall, and so you just have to start. If these onesie twosie properties.
Rick, I don't know if Suzanne, if you don't have a property manager like us with our own inspectors that are trained, then you should do it yourself.
Yeah, we don't do it. We don't have one in Virginia. We've got one for our Florida properties. But
gotcha.
they only, and this is something I got to talk to her about, because they only do an inspection one time a year just before the lease expires. So we gotta change that.
Well, and that's up to you. But what I'm saying is if there's not going to be any person, there's not anybody that really does this in a sense that is trained to do it, that you would call to do it. I mean, even if you have somebody do it, you're going to have to tell them what you want them to do. So if you're not hiring us as a property manager or something, or another property manager or whatever, then you should do your own inspection, because you're going to have to try to figure out what you want to tell the other person to do. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And you see what you like or don't like in Florida, right? From that property manager and how they're inspecting and things like that. And you might like it. There might be things you like about it, and there might be things you don't like about it. And that's kind of how our philosophy has been. Whenever when we were starting to do these things, we were like, well, we don't like that. We're going to change it. And so we would add more pictures. We would tell, what the priorities were. We weren't looking for scenic shots. Some people thought they were listing photos. These aren't listing photos. These are taking pictures of drawers, of space in a refrigerator, opening up a refrigerator and freezer and checking to make sure that there's no damage to the shelves, or, we don't care what they're eating. We want to know if there's any damage to the structure.
Okay.
And so, so we've actually just learned by doing and doing by learning, and then we see what we like and what we don't like. And that's when the whole dating of the air filter came in. We now have the inspector do that, so we know if it's not dated when we are checking it, then the next 6 months, if it has our same initials and date on it, we know they haven't changed it.
That's a really good idea, because we had our first Florida property. The tenant was awful, and we had inherited her. And she kept saying, yeah, I ordered the filters. And she probably never changed them. And when she moved out and we got another tenant, we had to replace the whole HVAC system.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you willing to share your list, or is that something that's proprietary because you created it?
The list of what?
Your inspection list. These are the things to look for your.
Oh, it wouldn't make sense to you. Because all it does is has a room, and it just has da. You know what I mean? Okay. It's really where it comes down to it is the pictures that you take and the knowledge that's in the person's head of what they're looking for.
Okay.
I mean, the main thing is you've got 4 walls, a ceiling, and a floor. Take pictures of all of those. Take pictures of the whole room, and then take pictures of a problem that's in it. And then you go back and you say what the problems were that you encountered. And then some of them are tenant fault, some of them are immediate, like smoke detectors and air filters. Some of them are what they do before they move out, like, smudges on the walls or light bulbs or something like that, or the toilet paper roller falls off the wall or something. They've got to fix that before they.
I think it's the intangibles too of, did you smell anything? We have that as one of our questions. What did the house smell like? Was there anything that was odd?
They move out. And then some are owners painted and power washed or something like categories because it's right.
Okay.
So
yeah, those are all
that type
good.
of thing.
Thanks.
No problem. You're welcome. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So I will work on getting this out. I've actually had to come for a window inspection and things. So I will actually be getting this out on Monday rather than tomorrow. Normally I get it out tomorrow, but I will get this out on Monday. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Our next face-to-face meeting is at Wegmans at the 28th.